Personal Data Protection Act, particularly in relation to transparency of data collection, purposes and the adequacy of informed consent. In response, Thailand's Personal Data Protection Committee issued a temporary suspension of the activity, reflecting a precautionary and rights-based approach to protecting the public interest while allowing for further assessment. We share this experience not as judgment on technology, but as a reminder that innovation must advance hand in hand with trust, legal certainty, strong governance framework, especially when sensitive personal data is involved. Technology and innovation are powerful tools in our fight against online scams. Advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, digital identity, and secure payment technologies can significantly strengthen prevention, detection, and victim protection. At the same time, we must remain clear-eyed. These very technologies, if poorly governed or deliberately abused, can also be exploited by criminal networks to deceive victims, obscure financial flows, and facilitate money laundering across borders. Our task, therefore, is not to slow innovation, but to guide it. We must ensure technological solutions are deployed with strong safeguards, effective regulations, and close cooperation among governments, industries, and international partners, so that innovation serves public trust rather than undermines it. Excellencies, online scams are becoming more sophisticated, but so are we. By strengthening detection tools, raising public awareness, and securing our digital ecosystem, we can make a real difference. That is why our presence here today is so important. Let us use this conference as a launchpad for stronger cross-border cooperation, proactive information sharing, and inclusive, sustainable capacity building. We must reaffirm that the digital world is not a lawless frontier, but a space where rights are respected and laws are enforced. This conference is more than a forum for discussion. It is a call to collective action, a moment to turn shared concerns into shared responsibility, and shared resolve into real impact. Before I leave you today, Your Excellencies, I would like to emphasize with a little more importance on one specific that was mentioned prior. That is the biometric identification. The reason being that it has more value than other scam operations because the technology itself is actually an important key to enable us to break the scam cycle. However, if this technology is compromised, it could compromise not only the livelihood of our people, but also the advancement of technology. Therefore, together, we can strengthen prevention, uphold accountability, and build resilience in our digital societies. Thailand stands ready to work alongside all partners in this common fight against online scams, not only for the livelihood of our people, but also the integrity of technological advancement. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ
ဒီနေ့လိုအွန်လိုင်းလည်လည်မှုတက်ဖြစ်ရေးနိုင်ငံကညီလာခံကိုတက်ရောက်လာကြတဲ့ဂုဏ်သီးကြီးဧည့်သည်တော်အားလုံးမင်္ဂလာပါလို့နှုတ်ဆက်ဆက်တာပါတယ်
Good morning to all the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, who have gathered here today for this critical international conference on the global partnership against online scams.
ကျွန်တော်တို့ ဆိုရအနေနဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံအတွင်းတရားမဝင်ဝင်ရောက်မှုကြောင့်ဖမ်းဆီးရမိတဲ့နိုင်ငံသားတွေကိုဥပဒေနဲ့အညီအမြန်ဆုံးရေးယူပြည်နယ်လွှဲပြောင်းရေးကြီးကြပ်မှုကော်မတီကိုလည်း2023ခုနှစ်မှာဖွဲ့စည်းခဲ့ပါတယ်ထို့အပြင်နိုင်ငံတော်ကြီးကဲမူဝါဒနဲ့အညီ online scan ကိုထိထိရောက်အမြင့်ပြတ်နှိမ်နင်းမှုအတွက် online လွယ်လည်မှုနဲ့ online လောင်းစားမှုတိုက်ဖျက်ရေးကြီးကြပ်မှုကော်မတီကိုလည်းယခုနှစ်ဒီဇင်ဘာလဖွဲ့စည်းခဲ့ပါတယ်ဒီပြင်ပြည်ထောင်စုနယ်မြေ online လိမ်လည်မှုနဲ့ online လောင်းစားမှုတိုက်ဖျက်ရေးကော်မတီတိုင်းဒေသကြီးဗမှုပြည်နယ် online လိမ်လည်မှုနဲ့ online လောင်းစားမှုတိုက်ဖျက်ရေးကော်မတီအဆင့်ဆင့်ကိုလည်းဒီဇင်ဘာ10ရက်နေ့မှာဆက်လက်ဖွဲ့စည်းခဲ့ပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်နိုင်ငံအနေနဲ့2026-2029ဘဏ္ဍာရေးနှစ်အတွင်းမှာ National Anti-Scam Center တည်ထောင်ရေးကိုလည်းဆောင်ရွက်လျက်ရှိပါတယ်ဒါပြင် Cyber လုံခြုံရေးဥပဒေကိုလည်းပြဋ္ဌာန်းပြီးဖြစ်ပါတယ်ယခုက online လိမ်လည်မှုနဲ့ online လောင်းစားမှုတိုက်ဖျက်ရေးကြီးကြပ်မှုဘိုးကော်မတီဖွဲ့စည်းပြီးဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်ကျွန်တော်နိုင်ငံအနေနဲ့ပြည်ပြည့်စုံသောဖွဲ့စည်းတရားဖြစ်လုပ်ငန်းများကိုအကောင့်တွေဆောင်ရွက်နိုင်ရန်အသင့်ရှိနေပြီဖြစ်ပါတယ်
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the government of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar has taken decisive action. We formed the Central Committee for the Supervision of Deportation and Transfer of Detained Foreigners for illegal entry into Myanmar on 8 November 2023. And then we formed a Central Committee for suppressing the combating of online scams and online gambling on 10 December 2025. This committee is tasked with systematically and effectively eradicating online scam syndicates, particularly in border areas, preventing their spread to inland and rooting them out in line with the head of state's policy. On this Central Committee, the Union Minister for Home Affairs serves as the chairman, with representatives from relevant ministries and organizations as members. To ensure the effective execution of their duties, committees for combating online scams and online gambling at the Union territory, region, or state levels were subsequently established on December 12, under the supervision of the Central Committee. Myanmar is also preparing to establish a national anti-scam center during the 2026 to 2027 fiscal year. Furthermore, the cybersecurity law was enacted on 1st February 2025 and became effective on 30 July 2025. With the formation of the Central Committee for supervising the combating of online scams and online gambling, our nation is ready to implement comprehensive organizational work.
online လိမ်လည်မှုနဲ့ online လောင်းစားမှုတားဆီးနေနေတဲ့အတွက်မြန်မာတရုတ်ထိုင်းသုံးပွင့်ဆိုင်ပူးပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်မှုကဒေတာတွင်း online လိမ်လည်မှုရဲ့အရင်းမြစ်ဖြည့်ရှင်းမှုအတွက်မရှိမဖြစ်တဲ့လိုအပ်တဲ့ရန်တရားတစ်ခုဖြစ်ပါတယ်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံအနေနဲ့ online လိမ်လည်မှုတွေအမြင့်ပြတ်သွားတဲ့အထိဒေတာတွင်းနိုင်ငံများနဲ့တက်ကြွစွာပူးပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်သွားမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်
The trilateral cooperation among Myanmar, China, and Thailand plays a very important role suppressing online scams and online gambling. These mechanisms are very essential for addressing the root causes of the regional online fraud. Myanmar will continue to work actively with countries in the region to combat online scam until it is completely eradicated.
ဒီနေရာမှာကျွန်တော်ဆွေးနွေးလိုတာကတော့ဒီရာဇဝတ်မှုတွေကမြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့နေမြေအတွင်းတည်ရှိနေတာချင်းတဲ့ဂွင်းဆက်များစွာဖြင့်လက်ပတ်နေတဲ့စီးပွားရေးလုပ်ငန်းဖြစ်ပါတယ်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံဟာ scan center တီနီယာဖြစ်ုံသာဖြစ်ပြီးတော့ဒီရာဇဝတ်မှုတွေရဲ့အရင်းမြစ်နဲ့အဓိကအကျိုးအမြတ်ရရှိသူမဟုတ်ပါဘူးဥပမာအဖြစ်လူကုန်ကူးခံရသူတို့အားလုံးဟာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံသားတွေမဟုတ်သလိုလိမ်လည်မှုမှာရရှိတဲ့ငွေကြေးအားလုံးဟာလည်းမြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘဏ်စနစ်တွင်ကိုရောက်ရှိလာခြင်းမရှိပါဘူးမြန်မာနိုင်ငံအနေနဲ့ပဋိပက္ခဒေသမှာလူကုန်ကူးခံရသူတွေကိုရှာဖွေကတင်နိုင်ခဲ့ပြီးတော့သူတို့ကိုလုံခြုံစိတ်ချစွာဇာတိနိုင်ငံကိုပြန်လည်ပို့ဆောင်ရေးအတွက်သက်ဆိုင်ရာတန်ယုံအဖွဲ့အစည်းများနဲ့တက်ကြွစွာပူးပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်ရှိပါတယ်ဒီနေရာမှာကျွန်တော်နိုင်ငံကိုဝင်ရောက်လာသူတွေရဲ့3.4ရာခိုင်နှုန်းကသာတရားဝင်ဝင်ရောက်လာတာဖြစ်ပြီးကျန်ရာခိုင်နှုန်းများကတရားမဝင်ဝင်ရောက်လာကြောင်းသိပေးပြောကြားလိုပါတယ်နိုင်ငံတကာအသိုင်းအဝိုင်းများအနေနဲ့လည်းမြန်မာနိုင်ငံအတွက်စိန်ခေါ်မှုတွေကိုအသိမှတ်ပြုပြီးတော့ထောက်လှမ်းရေးသတင်းဖလှယ်မှုတွေဒီပညာလေ့ကျင့်ပတ်မှုတွေလက်တွေ့ကြကူညီသင့်ပါတယ်နိုင်ငံတကာအနေဖြင့်စေတနာအမှန်ဖြင့်ပံ့ပိုးကူညီခြင်းရတာ online scan ကွန်ရက်တွေကိုထိရောက်ဖြိုခွင်းနိုင်မှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to state here that this crime is not only mere located within Myanmar's territory, it is a multifaceted criminal enterprise operating through extensive chains. Myanmar is only the location of scam centers and is neither the root cause nor the core beneficiary of the profit from this crime. For instance, not all trafficked victims are Myanmar citizens, nor does all the money from the scam centers enter Myanmar's banking system. Myanmar has successfully searched and rescued trafficking victims from conflict areas and is actively cooperating with relevant embassies and organizations for their safe return to their home countries. Only 0.4% of those individuals entered Myanmar legally. The rest entered illegally. The international community should acknowledge the challenges Myanmar is facing and provide practical assistance through intelligence sharing, technology, and training support. Myanmar cannot solve this problem alone. Only through sincere and goodwill support from international communities can we effectively dismantle online scam networks. It is imperative that we cooperate and solve this together rather than laying the blame on a single country.
ဒီကုန်းချုပ်အနေဖြင့်ကျွန်တော်တို့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံအနေဖြင့်နိုင်ငံရဲ့ပိုင်နယ်တွင်ရာဇဝမှုတွေကိုကင်တွယ်ဖြေရှင်းဖို့တာဝန်ရှိသလိုဖြတ်သန်းနိုင်ငံမှာလည်းလူနဲ့ငွေကြေးစည်းစိမ်မှုလမ်းကြောင်းတွေဖြတ်တောက်မှုအတွက်နေသက်ဒေသထိန်းချုပ်ရေးအစီအမံတွေတိုးမြင့်ဆောင်ရွက်ဖို့လိုအပ်ပါတယ်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့နေသက်ဒေသထိန်းချုပ်မှုပြဿနာဖြစ်တာသတ်မှတ်ခြင်းသည်ရာဇဝကွန်ရက်ရဲ့ကမ္ဘာလုံးဆိုင်ရာလက်ပတ်ပုံကိုလှည့်လူချူထားခြင်းဖြစ်ပါတယ်မူရင်းနိုင်ငံအနေဖြင့်လည်း၎င်းတို့နိုင်ငံသားများအတွက်ကြိုတင်တားဆီးကာကွယ်ရေးအစီအမံတွေကိုထိထိရောက်အကောင့်တွေပေါ်ဆောင်ရွက်ရန်လိုအပ်ပါတယ်အနည်းချုပ်အပြင်ဒီရာဇဝမှုတွေကိုထိရောက်စွာတိုက်ဖျက်ရန်အတွက်ကွင်းဆက်တစ်ခုလုံးကိုပါဝင်ပတ်သက်နေတဲ့မူရင်းနိုင်ငံဖြတ်သန်းနိုင်ငံဥတီနိုင်ငံတို့ပူးပေါင်းတုံ့ပြန်မှုလိုအပ်ကြောင်းပြောကြားလိုပါတယ်အားလုံးကိုကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်
In conclusion, Myanmar is responsible for tackling crimes within its own territory. Likewise, transit countries must also enhance border control and management measures to cut off the flow of people and money. Framing this problem solely as a border control issue for Myanmar ignores the global modus operandi of these criminal networks. Origin countries must also implement effective preventative measures for their citizens. In summary, the effective combating of these crimes require a collaborative response from all countries involved in the chain, origin, transit, and destination countries. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, Mr. Sihasak Huangketkau, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Thailand, Ms. Delphine Shantz, UNODC, Regional Representative for Southeast Asia, Excellencies, distinguished delegate, allow me to begin by extending my sincere appreciation to the Government of Thailand and UNODC for convening this important conference and for the warm hospitality. Allow me also to take this opportunity to convey Indonesia's deepest condolences on the passing of Her Majesty Queen Sidikit, the Queen Mother, whose life service and compassion leaves a lasting legacy for Thailand and our region. Excellencies, distinguished delegate, we are confronting a new generation of transnational crime, one that is borderless, technologically sophisticated, and increasingly destabilizing our societies, economies, and institutions. Online scam has evolved from isolated criminal acts into organized industrial-scale enterprise that undermines economic security, social trust, and regional stability. For Indonesia, online scams now constitute one of the most serious transnational crime threat of our time, amplified by the misuse of artificial intelligence, digital anonymity, and illicit financial network. In the past year alone, Indonesia recorded direct financial losses nearing $474 million US. This is a stark reminder that these crimes drain national resources, weaken confidence in digital transformation, and threaten inclusive growth. Yet, the greater danger is beyond the financial loss. Online scams are now deeply intertwined with trafficking in person, forced criminality, turning victims into instruments of crimes, and creating a vicious circle of exploitation across borders. Between 2021 and 2025, more than 12,000 Indonesians, nationals, were affected, suffering from psychological trauma, family disintegration, and long-term social harm. This is no longer merely a law enforcement challenge. It is human security crisis with clear regional and global ramification. Excellencies, online scam criminal networks already operate in an integrated community in many regions, including in Southeast Asia. However, our response too often remain fragmented by borders, mandate, and pace. As President Prabowo stated at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September, no nation can feel secure in isolation in today's interconnected world. Criminal networks cooperate globally, operate without regards for borders, and move faster than our legal institutional response. No country, regardless of their capacity, can confront this threat alone. Our response must therefore be collective, coordinated, and global in scope. In this context, allow me to emphasize 3 priority areas for actions. First, we must significantly elevate cross-border law enforcement cooperation through real-time intelligence sharing, joint investigation, asset tracking, and joint action to dismantle organized criminal network, not just individual perpetrators. In ASEAN, this includes fully operationalizing ASEAN security architecture, including ASEAN Convention on Trafficking in Person, ASEAN Plan of Action to Combat Transnational Crime, and ASEAN Senior Official Meeting on Transnational Crime. Second, we must strengthen financial and cyber cooperation through closer coordination amongst law enforcement agencies, financial intelligence units, central bank, and digital regulators to disrupt illicit financial flows and the misuse of digital platforms. Third, we must place victims at the center of our response. We must strengthen protection, rehabilitation, and reintegration while expanding public awareness, prevent re-exploitation to occur. In short, fighting online scam requires us to move in concert. We must fully operationalize existing regional and global mechanisms. From regional mechanisms such as the Bali process and other ASEAN mechanisms here in our region, to global framework including the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime and its protocol. Excellencies, distinguished guests, fighting online scam tests our collective resolve and credibility. Indonesia chooses actions that protect our people, preserve our regional stability, and safeguard the integrity of our digital future. Because inaction creates space for criminal, but cooperation creates security. I thank you, Chair.
Excellencies, Mr. Phuang Khetkeo, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to join you today for this important event co-organized by Thailand's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. In today's digitalized world, cybercrime impacts every region, economy, and ordinary people. Vietnam is no exception. During the first 3 quarters of 2025, Vietnam registered 2,000 occurrences of online fraud, resulting in an estimated loss of $120 million US. This intensive accounts for almost 86% of all recorded criminal cases across the country, highlighting the growing scale and significance of internet scams as a major security and socio-economic threat. Ladies and gentlemen, Vietnam is deeply concerned about the terrible social and financial losses to individuals caused by the rising prevalence of cybercrime, online scams, and other associated crime in the region. In light of this, tackling cybercrime and online scams has emerged as a top priority for Asia's working agenda across all 3 community pillars. The Vientiane Delegation on Enhancing Law Enforcement Cooperation Against Online Job Scams 2024 and the Asia Declaration on Combating Cybercrime and Online Scams 2025 reaffirms Asia's collective commitment and strengthens joint action to combat the rapidly growing threats of cybercrime and online scams in Southeast Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, online scams has no borders and no nation, large or small, necessitating the international community's collective efforts to strengthen and expand international collaboration in the spirit of international solidarity. Just a few weeks ago, on October 25 to 26, 2025, Vietnam has the honor of hosting the United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime signing ceremony in our capital city, Hanoi. Those were momentous events for both my country and the international community. In Hanoi, 72 member states and the European Union signed the convention, reaffirming our common commitment to using international law to fight the complex and fast-rising danger of cybercrime. This underlines our shared opinion that combating cybercrime must adhere to fundamental principles of international law, such as sovereignty, territorial integrity, and peaceful dispute resolution. Signing up for the convention is only the beginning. We encourage the continuing participation through additional signature and ratification so that Hanoi Convention can provide the groundwork for a safer digital future for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, the delegation of Vietnam takes note of the joint statement by the Global Partnership Against Online Scams. In this context, we urge governments, the corporate sector, academia, and key international and regional organizations, including UNODC, Interpol, and the Fed, to set up and coordinate their efforts. In addition, we emphasize the significance of fast and effective information, intelligence, and evidence sharing, including electronic evidence, to aid in the prevention, disruption, investigation, and prosecution on scam and related crimes. Finally, Vietnam appreciates this endeavor as well as on other current international initiatives to improve cooperation against online scams. Leading up to Hanoi Convention's implementation, we also thank Thailand's Ministry of Foreign Affairs for their hospitality, and we wish the conference continued success. Thank you for your attention.
His Excellency Sihasak Phongket Kyaw, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand, colleagues from Thailand's MFA, Excellencies, distinguished guests, good morning, namaste and swadikap. I thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand for organizing this important conference in collaboration with UNODC. Given the global impact of online scams, the timing of this conference is apt. It is important to bring together all relevant stakeholders required to combat this menace and to pave the way for finding effective solutions. India's participation in this conference underscores the significance we attach to concerted action needed to eradicate this growing problem. India observes with deep concern the rapid proliferation of online scam operations, which now reflect a convergence ecosystem involving cyber-enabled fraud, transnational organized crime, underground banking, trafficking in persons for forced criminality, and misuse of virtual asset service providers and emerging technologies. This is an issue of major concern for us, considering the economic scale, the negative impacts on and targeting of our citizens for cyber-enabled financial fraud with the involvement of highly sophisticated and organized criminal networks and their modus operandi. Indian nationals are also being lured by fake job offers, trafficked and forced into the scam center, cyber scam centers, often against their will and under severe duress. The impact on victims is debilitating. We appreciate the support and assistance extended to us by our partners, including Thailand, for the rescue and repatriation of our citizens from cyber scam compounds located in the region. FATF's joint study on illicit financial flows from cyber-enabled fraud underscores that CEF, cyber-enabled fraud, syndicates operate on money laundering, mule recruitment, shell layering, and rapid cross-border fund movement at near instantaneous speeds. India, therefore, emphasizes the need for whole-of-government, risk-based responses anchored in FATF standards in order to respond effectively to this evolving threat landscape. The Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, I4C, has been established by the Government of India to deal with cybercrime in a coordinated and comprehensive manner. I4C focuses on tackling all issues related to cybercrime through coordination between law enforcement agencies and various stakeholders, including international partners, so as to enhance India's overall capability to tackle cybercrime at all levels. Capacity building is one of the key areas that India has been focusing on to counter the existing and potential threats in cyberspace, including online scams. We are imparting training to increase cyber skills in our law enforcement agencies and preparedness in the domain of cyberspace. We are enhancing our cyber resilience to protect critical information infrastructure, identify threats, and respond to them in a timely manner. We are also working as a matter of high priority to mitigate, investigate, and recover from such malicious cyber crimes. The Government of India is also intensifying efforts to raise awareness about the dangers of human trafficking and fraudulent job offers. The need of the hour is for countries to work together to strengthen national capacities, build international cooperation and training, exchange best practices, information sharing, e-evidence sharing, investigations, and cyber exercises. Excellencies, it is only through decisive and sustained action to dismantle cyber scam networks and infrastructure that we will be able to achieve our common objectives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Kumaran, for your statement. I would now like to invite His Excellency Mr. Liu Zhongyi, Assistant Minister of the Ministry of Public Security of China, to give his statement. He will deliver a statement in Chinese with consecutive interpretation.
尊敬的西哈萨外长阁下、戴芬阁下、各位代表、各位嘉宾，大家上午好！很高兴参加此次会议。首先，我代表中方对会议召开致以热烈的祝贺，对泰方和联合国独罪办周到的安排表示衷心的感谢，并向各国同仁致以诚挚的问候。
Your Excellency, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sihaka, Your Excellency, Ms. Dolphin, distinguished delegates and guests, good morning. It's a great pleasure to attend this conference. First of all, on behalf of the Chinese side, I'd like to extend my warm congratulations on the convening of this conference. Express my sincere gratitude to the Thai side and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime for their thoughtful arrangements, and convey my cordial greetings to colleagues from all countries.
近年来，以电信网络诈骗为代表的新型犯罪蔓延全球，成为世界公害和打击性治理的难题。电信网络诈骗是典型的跨国有组织犯罪，任何一个国家既不能独立应对，也无法独善其身，必须团结合作，携手打击，共同治理。
In recent years, new types of crimes represented by telecom and online fraud have spread across the globe, becoming a public hazard to the world and a formidable challenge for global crackdown and governance efforts. Telecom and online fraud is a typical form of transnational organized crime. No single country can address it alone or stay immune from its harms. It's imperative for all countries to unite in cooperation, join hands in crackdowns, and pursue collaborative governance.
中国国家主席习近平站在人类命运共同的高度，提出全球安全倡议和全球治理倡议，为解决跨国犯罪难题、维护全球公共安全注入了强大的动力。
Chinese President Xi Jinping, standing at the head of humanity's future and destiny, has put forward the Global Security Initiative and the Global Governance Initiative, injecting strong impetus into solving the problem of transnational crimes and safeguarding global public security.
多年来，中国始终致力于履行国际义务，先后与泰国、缅甸、柬埔寨、越南、菲律宾、印尼、阿联酋、西班牙等国开展执法合作。2年以来，押回并依法严惩6.8万名犯罪嫌疑人，铲除了作恶多端、臭名昭著的果敢4大家族犯罪集团，打击整治工作取得明显成果。
Over the past years, China has been committed to fulfilling its international obligations and has carried out law enforcement cooperation with countries including Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, the Philippines, Indonesia, the United Arab Emirates, and Spain. In the past 2 years, China has repatriated and severely punished, in accordance with the law, 68,000 criminal suspects and eliminated the notorious Kokang Four Families criminal group, achieving remarkable results in the crackdown.
为尽快解决地区奸诈犯罪的问题，今年年初，中缅泰成立打击电信网络诈骗犯罪部级联席机制，在打击电诈园区窝点、偷渡人员及人员遣返、抓捕逃犯等方面，建立了一整套的行之有效的工作模式。各国根据自己的打击犯罪实际情况，也采取了相应的举措，并取得了一定的成效。
To resolve the regional telecom and online fraud problem as soon as possible, China, Myanmar, and Thailand established a ministerial-level coordination mechanism against telecom and online fraud earlier this year. As a result, an effective working mode was established in combating the telecom and online parks, the illegal immigration and repatriation of the personnel, appreciation of the fugitives. All countries have made the relevant measures according to their actual situations in combating the crimes, achieving the remarkable results.
11月，中柬、老缅、泰越打击电诈部级会议在中国昆明召开，3方机制正式升级为6方机制。下步，我们还将邀请更多国家加入，在更大范围内凝聚共识，推动取得更大合作成效，更好维护地区安全稳定，增进各国人民福祉。
In November, the ministerial meeting on combating telecom and online fraud involving China, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam was held in Kunming, China, marking the official upgrade of the trial-party mechanism to a 6-party one. Going forward, we will invite more countries to join, build consensus on a broader scale, promote greater cooperation outcomes, better safeguard regional security and stability, and enhance the well-being of people of our countries.
在全球公共安全合作论坛2025年大会上，中国国务委员、公安部长王晓红倡议成立国际打击电信网络诈骗联盟，得到了各国积极响应。我们呼吁各国高举合作、创新、法治、共赢的旗帜，克服地区差异、制度差异、文化差异，持续深化交流合作，全面强化打击整治，联手应对新型犯罪的挑战，推动构建合作共赢的跨国犯罪打击治理的新格局。
At the 2025 Global Public Security Conference, Chinese State Councilor, Minister of Public Security Wang Xiaohong proposed the establishment of an international alliance for combating telecom and online fraud, which has received positive responses from all countries. We call on all countries to hold high the banner of cooperation, innovation, rule of law, and win-win results, overcome differences in regions, systems, and cultures, continuously deepen exchanges and cooperation, comprehensively strengthen crackdowns, join hands to address the challenges posed by new types of crimes, and promote the building of a new win-win pattern for combating and governing transnational crimes.
最后，预祝此次会议圆满成功，谢谢大家。
Lastly, I wish this conference accomplished success. Thank you all.
I'd like to thank Assistant Minister Yu for his statement, and now I'd like to invite His Excellency Tumor Amasana, Master of Mongolia, for his statement.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the delegation of Mongolia, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand and the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime for convening this timely and important conference as online scams and cyber-enabled fraud continue to impose growing challenges to governments and societies worldwide. Also, I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to the Minister of Foreign Affairs for assisting today, right now, in Tak province to bring back our nationals to Thailand and Mongolia. The rapid expansion of digital services has created new opportunities for economic growth and social connectivity. At the same time, it has enabled criminal actors to exploit technological vulnerabilities, jurisdictional gaps, and the anonymity of online platforms. These challenges increasingly intersect with national security and public trust in the digital environment. Mongolia, like many other countries, has experienced a rise in online scam cases in recent years, particularly involving deceptive investment schemes, fraudulent online transactions, and the misuse of personal data through social media and messaging applications. Online scams and inherently transnational. Criminal networks operate across borders, making international cooperation indispensable. Mongolia, therefore, strongly supports enhanced information sharing, mutual legal assistance, capacity building, and engagement with the private sector. In this context, the Global Partnership Against Online Scams provides a valuable platform for coordinated action. We stand ready to contribute constructively and to work closely with regional and international partners to strengthen collective resilience against online scams. In conclusion, we reaffirm its commitment to promoting a secure, transparent, and trustworthy digital environment through sound legal frameworks, effective enforcement, and sustained international cooperation among UNODC member states. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Ambassador Mongolia, for your statement. Now I'd like to invite His Excellency Ambassador of Italy, Master Paolo Nisi, to the podium.
Mr. Minister, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Italy is grateful to Thailand for its efforts in placing this crucial topic at the center of the international community's agenda and for convening us here today. Online scams are a threat to every one of us, and the only way to tackle it is to work together. In the past several years, we have witnessed an increase in the number and reach of the criminal actors operating in the digital domain. Criminal ecosystems have become highly sophisticated, and digital fraud has grown to be an integral part of most illicit activities. Southeast Asia, in particular, has shown a vulnerability to the issue, with criminal enterprises establishing scam centers across the region. However, it is important to note that this is not just a Southeast Asia issue. We are looking at a truly global phenomenon, with victims and scam centers found all around the world. What makes online scams so concerning, in fact, is that they are highly profitable, scalable, low risk, and can be easily replicated at minimal costs. Italy is well aware of the threat posed by this phenomenon. As a result, in recent years, we have stepped up our actions to strengthen national capacity, adopting an integrated whole-of-government approach, while continuing to contribute to the international community's effort to tackle the problem. Stripping criminal networks of illegal profits is one of the most powerful ways to fight transnational organized crime. And it's the reason why we promoted Interpol Silver's Notice, a new tool to support the global recovery and return to the legal owner of illegal assets. This increased attention on the topic has also brought about a series of legislation aimed at strengthening interagency cooperation and regulating the use of artificial intelligence, making Italy one of the first countries to approve a comprehensive law incorporating the European Artificial Intelligence Act. Given the transnational nature of cybercrime, we strongly believe that a coordinated international approach is needed and seize this opportunity to commend the recent initiative promoted by the Canadian G7 presidency to discuss responses to cybercrime at Scam Center in Southeast Asia. Cooperation among law enforcement agencies is key. For this reason, Italy is engaged in Interpol, Europol, and ASEAN-APOL, and has launched a series of initiatives on knowledge sharing and capacity building. A prominent example is our Falcone and Borsellino program, which is a platform of training for representatives from the police bodies of ASEAN member states in recognition of the strategic importance that the collaboration with the region represents for us. Ladies and gentlemen, cybercrime and fraud damage our economy, violate human rights, and erode the trust within our societies and communities. Italy has developed a substantial expertise in the fight against organized crime that we are willing to share with our partners in an effort to work together to protect each other and the well-being of our citizens. On a concluding note, let me highlight that this year we celebrate the 25th anniversary of the signing of the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, the Palermo Convention. Together with its supplementary protocols, it remains an invaluable multilateral instrument in the fight against organized crime in all its forms, including its digital dimension. Thank you very much.
I thank Ambassador Petrucco for his statement. And now I would like to invite Her Excellency King Ikon, Ambassador of Canada, to deliver his statement.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, bonjour, and swadika. Thank you to the Royal Thai government and UNODC for convening this very important event to discuss such an important issue. Scam center networks have grown into complex and highly organized operations that represent a major transnational organized crime model. They combine cyber-enabled fraud with trafficking in persons and forced criminality. While currently concentrated in Southeast Asia, these models are increasingly being replicated in other parts of the world, exploiting gaps in oversight, concealing their gains through sophisticated money laundering channels, and adapting quickly to enforcement pressure. For Canada, the impact is direct. In 2024 alone, Canadians reported over 62,000 cases of fraud, with losses exceeding $640 million. These figures are incredibly tied to transnational scam centers and are likely underreported, given the stigma victims face. The reported losses across the globe are even more staggering. Addressing these challenges is difficult, particularly where enforcement capacity is limited, or where criminality and the actors exploit jurisdictional complexities. But stronger international cooperation, public diplomacy, support for victims, and enhanced law enforcement capacity are some of the actions that is essential to adopt in order to tackle this issue. Last week, under Canada's G7 presidency, we convened a Track 1.5 dialogue with delegations from G7 plus countries and 12 international subject matter experts, including those from the UN organizations, to address the rising threat of scam centers in Southeast Asia and beyond. The meeting included thematic discussions on the human dimension of trafficking in persons and forced criminality in scam centers. This was followed by a discussion on how countries can strengthen international cooperation against cyber-enabled fraud, and an examination on the financial flows of the proceeds of crime and money laundering. We concluded with a discussion on how we can build stronger law enforcement capacity to confront financial crime. Looking ahead, our hope is that such dialogues will contribute to a more cohesive and collective action plan by the G7 and partners in cooperation with international organizations and civil society. Together with our partners, we aim for tangible deliverables and a clear path forward to strengthen cooperation, protect victims, and build capacity against financial crime. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank the Ambassador from Canada for the statement. And now I'd like to invite Ms. Gayo Mutuni, Deputy Director General for ASEAN and Southeast Asian Affairs of the Republic of Korea.
His Excellency Mr. Sihasak Boakekeo, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, Ms. Delphine Chant, Regional Representative of United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to join with the distinguished delegation this morning to advance our shared commitment to countering online scam and other types of cyber-enabled crime. Let me express my sincere gratitude to the government of Thailand and UNODC for the warm hospitality extended to us. And on this occasion, ROK extends again our deep condolence to the people of Thailand on the passing of Her Majesty Queen Mother Sirikit. As a cybercrime involving online scam center grow in sophistication and scale, more people are getting vulnerable to the harm posed by these threats. Koreans are no exception. Recently, some of our citizens have been lured by illicit online scam rings operating in the region with the promise of high-paying job offers only to be forced to defraud other victims. Against this backdrop, Korean President Lee Jae-myung has instructed the government to mobilize all resources available to tackle transnational crime such as online scam, drug trafficking, and online gambling. And my government has carried out a series of measures to fortify the cooperation with partners as well as to better protect our citizens. First, Korea is strengthening cooperation with countries in the region in order to counter online scam issue. For example, in some cases, Korean police officers are now working hand in hand with the local police authorities for investigation, rescue operation, and other forms of collaboration as necessary. Second, the Korean government has recently imposed independent sanctions on 15 individuals and 132 entities over their involvement in online organized crime in Southeast Asia. This is the first time South Korea has imposed sanctions over transnational criminal network and the largest single sanction measures ever. Third, we have established an interagency task force to support the whole of government approach in countering the transnational crime, including online scam center. This domestic architecture allows the government agency to exchange information and coordinate action efficiently and effectively. Most importantly, the Korean government is very much committed to strengthening its partnership with like-minded partners as well as relevant international bodies such as UNODC and ASEAN. For example, the Korean Police Agency plans to launch a joint initiative with ASEAN APOL for combat online scam. We will continue to seek closer coordination with the key partners represented here today to further elaborate what we can do together down the road bilaterally, unilaterally, and multilaterally. After all, transnational crime respects no border, and countering such a threat is far from being one country job. I hope our discussion today and tomorrow will help us chart a constructive path toward a safer region by exchanging information and identify ways to coordinate our action such that we can better safeguard the lives and well-being of our citizens. Thank you.
I thank the Deputy Director General for ASEAN and Southeast Asian Affairs of the Republic of Korea for the statement. Next, may I now invite Mrs. Hala Youssef Ahmed Ragal, Ambassador of Egypt, to deliver that statement.
Your Excellency, Minister of Digital Economy and Society, Mrs. Delphine Chance, UNODC Regional Representative for Southeast Asia and Pacific, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Allow me at the outset to convey our best regards of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Egypt, and the Arab Republic of Egypt extends its sincere appreciation for the government of Kingdom of Thailand for launching this vital global partnership initiative aimed at combating online fraud, a transnational threat that undermines economic stability, erodes public trust, and exploits the vulnerabilities of our increasingly digital world. As a nation committed to digital transformation under the Digital Egypt vision, Egypt recognizes that robust cybersecurity is essential for sustainable development and protecting citizens in the digital economy. With over 96 million internet users in Egypt in 2025 and rapid growth in e-commerce and digital financial services, we have prioritized comprehensive measures to counter cyber threats, including online fraud. Egypt's national efforts are anchored in strong legislative and institutional framework, including an anti-cyber and information technology crimes law number 175 in 2018 provides stringent penalties for online fraud. Phishing, identity theft, and misuse of payment systems, ensuring effective deterrence and prosecution. The National Security Strategy 2327, overseen by the Supreme Council for Cybersecurity, focuses on enhancing legislative framework, domestic coordination, capacity building, and resilient cyber defenses. Egypt ranks among the top 12 countries globally in the International Telecommunication Union's Global Cybersecurity Index in 23-24, reflecting our commitment to international standards. Egypt's approach emphasizes prevention through technology, public education, and awareness campaigns, and regulatory oversight, making the banking sector a key pillar in the national fight against online fraud. Key operational institutions lead our fight against online fraud. The Ministry of Interior's Department for Combating Computer and Information Network Crimes actively monitors, investigates, and dismantles fraud networks. In 2025, it launches advanced digital platform for citizens to report and track online fraud incidents electronically via the ministry's portal, facilitating rapid response without the need for in-person visits. The Egyptian Computer Emergency Readiness Team, EG-CERT, under the National Telecom Regulatory Authority, provides proactive threat monitoring, incident response, and international coordination to mitigate fraud and protect critical infrastructure. The banking sector plays a pivotal role, led by the Central Bank of Egypt and major commercial banks like the National Bank of Egypt. The central bank, as primary regulator and coordinator for fraud prevention across the banking system, the bank established the Fraud and Financial Crimes Centralized Department as a pioneer among other central banks in the Middle East and globally, as the first specialized entity to manage fraud combating for all financial institutions under its supervision. Starting from October 2025, the National Bank of Egypt, in collaboration with the Ministry of Telecommunications, launched a huge campaign entitled Protect Your Personal Data, using street performance style videos. It educates citizens on avoiding online fraud, sharing personal data, and recognizing scams distributed widely on social media and television. These combined efforts have contributed to Egypt's strong performance in global indices. Top ranking in ITU's Global Cybersecurity Index, for example, and a significant reduction in fraud vulnerabilities amid rapid digital growth. Distinguished guests, Egypt firmly believes that combating online fraud requires collective action. We actively participate in international cooperation, partnering with organizations such as Interpol, the International Communication Union, the UNODC. In this regard, we signed the recent United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime in Hanoi last October, proves Egypt's strong commitment to combating all forms of cybercrime at all its levels. Moreover, Egypt will host a regional capacity building training center for African countries to combat cybercrime. Egypt stands ready to deepen partnerships, share best practices, and contribute to multilateral mechanisms for intelligence exchange, capacity building, and harmonized legal approaches. Together, let us build a safer digital future for all. I thank you all.
His Excellency, Minister of Digital Economy of Thailand, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Aibowan, Sawadika, and good morning to all of you. Sri Lanka conveyed sincere appreciations to the Government of Kingdom of Thailand and UNODC for organizing this timely manner international conference on the global partnership against online scams. And also, I take this opportunity to convey our sincere thanks to Thailand for their invaluable assistance in the rescue operation of Sri Lankan national standard in cyber scamming centers located in the region. This timely and compassionate support not only safeguards the lives and dignity of the affected individuals, but also reaffirm the importance of regional solidarity, coordinated operational responses, and international cooperations in addressing the growing challenges in human trafficking and cyber-enabled exploitations. Sri Lanka recognized that digital transformation is a critical enabler of national development, economic recovery, innovations, and social inclusions. As emphasized by HED President Andrew Kumar Dissanayake, technological advancement plays a pivotal role in important citizens' quality of life through efficient, high-quality, and cost-effective public services. In this context, the government has launched key initiatives including the GovPay digital government payment platform, decentralization of the President's funds to the divisional secretariats level, an EMD system enabling Sri Lankan abroad to obtain certified copy of birth, marriage, and death certificate through diplomatic missions. This initiative implemented jointly by the Ministry of Digital Economy, the Information and Communications Technology Agency, and Lanka Pay with oversight of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka are strengthening transparent improvement services delivery and bridging the bridge between urban and rural divide. While digitalization effort transforming opportunities, it also presents involved risk. The 2024 U.S. Trafficking in Person report in National Assessment highlighted the troubles convergence between online scam operation and human trafficking. Traffickers increasingly exploit digital platforms, including fraudulent job advertisement, social media, and messaging applications to recruit vulnerable individuals, especially young job seekers, into exploitative network abroad. In many cases, victims are coerced into a participation in a cyber fraud operations among then criminality. These intersections underscores the urgent need of integrated, victim-centered, and multidimensional policy responses. Ladies and gentlemen, to address these challenges, Sri Lanka has adopted the comprehensive national approach. Legislative framework have been strengthening through the laws such as the Online Safety Act, Computer Crime Act, Electronic Transactions Act, and Personal Data Protections Act, ensuring that cyber fraud, online financial crimes, and related money laundering offenses are effectively criminalized and prosecuted. Institutional efforts are spearheaded by the National Anti-Trafficking Task Force. Outside Sri Lanka, CERT, CC, and Computer Crime Investigation Division of Sri Lanka Police, and the Financial Crime Investigation Division. These entities work collaboratively to detect, investigate, and prosecute cyber-enabled crime while ensuring victim protections and rehabilitations. Specialized training program, digitalized forensics report, and international cooperation mechanisms have further strengthened national capacity. Sri Lanka diplomatic missions continue to play a key role in the rescue operations, repatriation, and reintegration of victims in trafficking into cyber scam operations abroad. Public awareness and prevention form an integral component of Sri Lanka's response. Nationwide awareness campaign, community outreach initiative, and the digital literacy program educate citizens online safety, scamming preventions, and responsible digital behavior, aiming to rescue vulnerability, encouraging early reporting, and fostering culture and vigilance and resilience. Sri Lanka's strategic geographical location in the Indian Ocean region underscores the responsibility and commitment to regional and global cyber security effort. The government continues to strengthen safety network, operational coordination, judicial effectiveness, and institutional resilience to counter international cyber threat. Sri Lanka actively works with like-minded countries, international organizations, and private sector partners to enhance intelligence sharing, harmonize regulatory approaches, and develop joint strategies against online scam and cyber-enabling trafficking. The Ministry of Digital Economy plays a central role in advancing its agenda, guided by its visions and smart and prosperous nations empowered by modern technologies. Through regulatory reform, digital inclusion initiatives, cybersecurity interventions, and partnership with the private sector, the ministry ensures that digital transformation remains secure, inclusive, and people-centered. Distinguished delegates, Sri Lanka Computer Emergency Readiness Team, CERT, also play a vital role in coordinating national effort to prevent, detect, and respond to cyber-enabling fraud, including reporting and responding, having online statistic, detection, monitoring, and disruptions, public awareness and preventions, also capacity building and institutional support, and regional and international cooperations. Sri Lanka reaffirmed its firm commitment to global partnership against online scam and cyber-enabling human trafficking. By interacting strong government framework, robust cybersecurity measures, victim-centered protections, and international cooperation, Sri Lanka seeks to ensure that the benefit of digital transformation are realized without exploitations. Through collective actions, transparent and shared responsibility, Sri Lanka stands ready to work with the international community to build a safer, trusted, and resilient digital future. I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished participants, Bangladesh thanks the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand and UNODC for convening this timely international conference. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh remains deeply concerned over the rapid and unchecked proliferation of transnational criminal activities involving scam centers across Southeast Asia, with inevitable implications for the neighboring region. Many of our nationals, mostly young men, find themselves in situations of captivity, exploitation, abuse, and debt bondage as they are lured into working for scam centers under false promises and pretexts. It becomes a matter of added concern when the victims of trafficking for scam centers are denied the recognition and protection as such, thus delaying and complicating their rescue, repatriation, and reintegration. In this context, we would like to put on record our sincere appreciation for the concerned host authorities, including the relevant law enforcement agencies, together with UN agencies, international NGOs, and religious institutions for their unstinting support in rescuing and processing the cases of our nationals who suffer the dehumanizing treatment and trauma of working in scam operations. It is worth bearing in mind that even if some victims end up in scam centers with prior intimation or knowledge, nothing prepares them for the criminal and clandestine activities that they are usually subjected to, including during transit. Our rights-based approach to victims remains paramount to safeguard them from misguided detention and legal procedures for the standard allegations of unauthorized entry or stay. Mr. Chair, as a state party to all relevant UN conventions and international instruments, Bangladesh has undertaken a raft of policy, administrative, and law and order measures to prevent the outflow of our nationals for suspect involvement or employment in scam centers. Our law enforcement authorities, especially investigation agencies, stand ready to cooperate with their counterparts from all concerned and affected countries for effective coordination, interception, investigation, and recovery response. Our government continues to invest in mass awareness programs aimed at potential victims through calibrated use of mainstream and social media. Our investigation and prosecutorial bodies are entrusted to obtain relevant information about criminal networks, including through consultations with returnee victims to better understand the evolving and sophisticated nature of scam operations. In Bangladesh, our financial sector is no stranger to cyber-enabled fraud, and we continue to work through robust public-private partnership to uphold trust in and integrity of our digital ecosystem. We underscore the importance of enhancing cooperation with fintech platforms, mobile financial service providers, and remittance operators to improve detection and reporting of suspicious financial flows linked to scam operations. Mr. Chair, the origin of the key actors and investors behind scam center operations, including the emerging ones, are rather well known. And there must be an honest reckoning to identify and hold to account such jurisdictions. The corresponding responsibilities and accountability of international jurisdictions that serve as safe havens for money laundering and other forms of illicit financing flows need not be overemphasized. We must acknowledge that the non-state actors and criminal enterprises involved in scam operations in the developing and least developed countries in the region often outsmart or outmaneuver the capacity and competence of state institutions. Effective response at the international level should therefore provide for capacity building and technical assistance, especially for developing countries, to help build sound regulatory frameworks and effective preventive, investigative, and prosecutorial capabilities. Mr. Chair, distinguished participants, to conclude, Bangladesh subscribes to the 2025 Bangkok Statement by the Global Partnership Against Online Scams. We look forward to supporting the global partnership across its 5 pillars, including as an interested member of the proposed group of friends. I thank you.
Sihasak Phuangketkeow, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand, UNODC representative, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. First of all, I would like to convey our most heartfelt condolences on the loss of Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. Her legacy will be remembered. On behalf of the European Union, I would like to express our gratitude to the Kingdom of Thailand and to UNODC for organizing this important event. Scam centers pose a growing security threat to our economy around people, with cross-border implications. No one is immune to them, the European Union included. It's reported that around 50% of European Union citizens encountered fraud or scams online in 2024. We see increasing convergence between cybercrime, financial fraud, and human exploitation, which generate tens of billions of euros annually. We are at an inflection point. If the international community doesn't act, we risk facing a deeply entrenched criminal industry. The EU is committed to the global fight against online scams and related transnational crimes. We have already developed a robust mechanism to disrupt criminal networks, including prevention, investigation and prosecution, capacity building in law enforcement and the judiciary, as well as measures to protect and empower citizens. On prevention, we are expanding awareness campaigns to educate citizens about online risks. We collaborate closely with all stakeholders towards timely detection and disruption of scam operations through initiatives such as the Europol Financial Intelligence Public-Private Partnership. Under the Digital Services Act, platforms must demonstrate how they prevent scams. A stronger regulation at international level will be crucial. On investigation and prosecution, the EU coordinates cross-border investigations, ensuring that law enforcement agencies can act swiftly against criminal networks. Europol supports the EU and its member states in tracing, freezing, and seizing criminal assets. In 2024, the EU imposed sanctions on individuals and entities responsible for scam operations. We are also building law enforcement capacity to tackle crypto crimes. The EU places victims' protection at the center of its response. Protecting victims is a matter of human rights. We emphasize post-repatriation information sharing so that countries of origin, transit, and destination can disrupt criminal networks more effectively. The European Union is committed to working closely with partners in Asia to tackle this growing threat. We are working with Asian partners to invest in training, technology transfer, and promoting cooperation among online agencies, both in Europe and Asia, through initiatives such as enhancing security cooperation in and with Asia, ESIWA Plus, and Cybernet. ESIWA Plus focuses on enhancing cybersecurity capabilities and fostering cooperation among law enforcement agencies. We have recently organized seminars on cyber fraud and scams, including in Thailand in July and in Singapore in October, to operationalize the United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime. The EU signed the convention in October, and we call on those who have not yet done it to do so. Moreover, in 2026, the European Commission will present an action plan on online fraud. We will also launch in 2026-2029 two interconnected actions targeting online scams and human exploitation. A new action on online fraud schemes focusing on scam centers in Southeast Asia, and an action on trafficking in human beings, examining the link between human trafficking and scam centers. The fight against online scams is a shared responsibility. By working together, we can protect our citizens and uphold trust in the digital economy. Looking ahead, the European Union strongly supports efforts to move from dialogue to action through regional and international cooperation. We see Southeast Asia as a key partner for shaping solutions that can have global impact. We stand ready to cooperate further. Thank you very much.
I thank the Chargé d'Affaires of the European Union for the statement. Next, may I now invite Mrs. Anna Margaret, Ambassador of Sweden, to deliver their statement.
Sawadika. Your Excellency Cherchok Chidlob, the Minister of Digital Economy and Society of Thailand, and Chair of this meeting, distinguished delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Sweden welcomes the initiative to bring attention to the unlawful and deeply problematic scam center industry. Organized online crime is part of a threat landscape that is evolving faster than ever. Many brilliant speakers today have already framed the challenges and presented ways forward, and I should not repeat. Let me just say that Sweden supports Thailand's ongoing international efforts to address cybercrime, including the online scams. We welcome the increased international cooperation on this important matter. We're a party to the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, and has signed also the new United Nations Convention on Cybercrime. Bilaterally with Thailand, I find it very interesting that we have a strategic partnership which also covers this area, and we look forward to working with Thailand further on this. In addition, we welcome the International Parliamentary Union's resolution on parliamentary action against transnational organized crime, cybercrime, and hybrid threats to democracy and human security, adopted just recently in October in Geneva. It was initiated by Thailand and supported by Sweden and many other countries in order to see that it was adopted. Online scam networks' transnational nature risks undermining states and national governments as well as institutions. And this threatens regional stability. So in Southeast Asia, regional cooperation and good neighborhood is pivotal. The linkages with other sorts of organized crime is clear, including drug smuggling, human trafficking, and money laundering. This is a global threat, and it's a global business model, unfortunately, that attracts many. All this makes a strong case for international cooperation to combat online crime. Let me also stress that respecting and protecting human rights and the principles of the rule of law is a fundamental prerequisite for all cybercrime work. But the internet must remain open and it must remain free and secure with equal access and inclusiveness for all. We encourage knowledge sharing and combating online crime, the support to challenge states, and fostering innovation in cybersecurity. It's important to ensure no nation is left behind to build long-term resilience to withstand cybercrime. Sweden supports the idea of the 2025 Bangkok Joint Statement by the Global Partnership Against Online Scam. And even if we're not able to sign this right now, we see it as a valuable complement to other agreements and instruments available. It should be a complement. So Sweden looks forward to working with Thailand and other partners in the region and globally to address and fight transboundary crime, including online fraud. I thank you so much. Kapunka.
I thank the Ambassador of Sweden for their kind greetings and statement. Next, may I now invite Mr. Ernest Wolfgang Rachel, Ambassador of Germany, to deliver their statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ministers, Excellencies, dear colleagues. On behalf of Germany, I would like to express our gratitude to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand for hosting this timely conference. We appreciate all parties coming together to address the growing threat from online scamming. Fraud is not a new phenomenon. However, what is new is the increasing digitalization, the ease with which victims can be approached via social media, and the use of new tools such as AI translations, synthetic voices, and cryptocurrencies. These developments have enabled organized crime to establish globally oriented and highly organized fraud operations that reach victims all over the world, including in Germany and in Europe. The difference between this and the email scams involving grandiose promises with which you are likely familiar is qualitative. The level of sophistication of these attempts at fraud is markedly different. Scammers develop personalized approaches, identify vulnerabilities, and often cultivate apparent relationships over months to deceive their victims and to convince them to transfer money. Because the methods used and the degree of professionalism of these fraud centers differ significantly from other fraud attempts, we must also adopt new approaches to meet this challenge. We therefore deeply appreciate Thailand's initiative in this matter, as well as the involvement of UNODC, which, through its expertise, can contribute greatly to addressing the challenges posed. Germany itself has recently become a major target for scamming operations. In 2024 alone, the Central Office for Cybercrime in Bamberg recorded and processed more than 18,000 cases with German victims. For Germany, experts estimate that several thousands of scam websites go online every year, with a damage in the billions of dollars caused. Exact figures are difficult to give, however, because many victims do not report incidents out of shame. We therefore prioritize this challenge and are eager to work together and to protect our citizens and shut down scamming compounds around the world and in the region. Among other initiatives, our police agencies have worked with the private sector to develop prevention-based informational campaigns around online scamming, particularly concerning the phenomena of love scamming and financial scamming. And we invite everybody to discuss experiences in prevention-based approaches in case of interest. At the same time, law enforcement activity to dismantle the scam centers in this region is urgent and necessary, and we welcome further cooperation in this regard, as well as prevention can only be one aspect of a comprehensive strategy. As Minister Sihasak said at the outset of this meeting, this is not a regional but a global challenge, and the response must also be global. Germany remains convinced that we need greater cooperation between the countries where these fraud centers are operating and the wealthier countries where most of the victims are located. A coordinated approach is also needed within countries to ensure that victim protection, prosecution, prevention are considered jointly in a whole-of-government approach. We will therefore welcome the further promotion of cooperation in this domain, and we remain open to contributing to this process. Finally, let me thank you once more for your valuable work in countering this new menace of online scamming, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. Your Excellency Chair, distinguished ministers, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, on behalf of the Kingdom of Morocco, my sincere appreciation to the Royal Thai government, in particular to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand and the UNODC for convening this timely and important conference. The challenge of online scams and cybercrime transcends borders and calls for a truly global, coordinated, and forward-looking response. In this spirit, the presence here today of a multi-sectoral Moroccan delegation stands as a clear testimony to the Kingdom's strong commitment to collective action and to the centrality of global partnership in addressing this shared threat. It is particularly meaningful that this conference coincides with the renewed momentum of the Thailand-Africa initiative. It reflects a shared political will to deepen Africa-Asia partnerships and jointly address transnational challenges, such as online scams and cyber-enabled crime that disproportionately affect African societies and economies, often as primary victims of these illicit activities. Drawing on its strategic position as a continental hub and gateway to Africa, Morocco stands ready to work closely with Thailand and African partners to advance concrete cooperation in cybersecurity. In an increasingly interconnected world, such cooperation contributes to the development of secure, resilient, and inclusive Africa-Asia digital corridors capable of supporting digital growth while protecting citizens, businesses, and public institutions from online scams and cyber-enabled crime. Against this backdrop, and recognizing the seriousness of cybercrime in all its forms, I would like to share with you some of the responses and actions adopted by the Kingdom of Morocco as a contribution to our collective learning and to the exchange of experiences that is essential to strengthening our common response. The Kingdom of Morocco has adopted a comprehensive, integrated, and forward-looking national approach, combining prevention, protection, enforcement, and international cooperation. This approach is structured around the continuous strengthening of the legal framework, the security of digital and electronic services, the protection of personal data, the resilience of public information systems, and the active dismantling of cybercriminal networks. To this end, Morocco has established a solid, coherent, and evolving legislative and institutional framework. This framework is underpinned by dedicated laws addressing cybersecurity, cybercrime, and cyberterrorism, and supported by a Moroccan national authority responsible for cybersecurity and the security of information systems, as well as an inter-agency coordination mechanisms for crisis management and response to major cyber incidents. In parallel, the Kingdom has made sustained investment in its technical, investigative, and judicial capacities, including the creation of a specialized cybercrime unit, digital forensics laboratories, permanent judicial contact points, and enhanced regulatory and cybersecurity requirements in critical sectors, particularly the financial and banking sector. Cybersecurity also constitutes a strategic pillar of Morocco's broader digital transformation agenda. Through successive national programs and long-term strategies, most notably Maroc Digital 2030 and the National Cybersecurity Strategy 2030, the Kingdom seeks to build a secure, resilient, and trusted digital ecosystem. These initiatives aim not only to safeguard digital infrastructures, but also to support economic development, foster innovation and technological entrepreneurship, promote digital inclusion, and accelerate the modernization and efficiency of public services while ensuring citizens' confidence in the digital environment. At the regional and multilateral levels, Morocco firmly believes that cybercrimes cannot be effectively addressed in isolation. The Kingdom has therefore consistently prioritized international cooperation by acceding to key international legal instruments, including the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime and its additional protocols, and by actively participating in the multilateral capacity building and operational cooperation initiatives. Morocco also engages in bilateral partnerships and memoranda of understanding focused on training, skills development, and information sharing in the field of cybersecurity. Most recently, Morocco contributed actively and constructively to the negotiation of the first United Nations Convention against Cybercrime, signed in October 2025. For Morocco, this convention constitutes a cornerstone for strengthening international cooperation, facilitating access to electronic evidence, enhancing trust and legal certainty among states, and promoting a spirit of shared responsibility and solidarity in addressing an increasingly complex and rapidly evolving digital threat landscape. In conclusion, Morocco remains fully committed to working with all partners, governments, international organizations, the private sector, and civil society to combat online scams and cybercrime and to ensure that digital transformation remains a driver of security, development, and inclusion for all. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Dear Chair, Minister Chachinok Chichop, Minister of Digital Economy and Society of Thailand, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Peru would like to express its gratitude for the invitation extended by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand to participate in this international conference against, a global alliance against online scams. We also want to recognize the opportunity that this forum offers to strengthen a collective response to a phenomenon that undermines public trust, digital security, and the rule of law at the global level. Peru considers that online scam and other forms of cybercrime constitute a transnational threat that can only be addressed through clear rules, ongoing cooperation, and effective multilateral mechanisms based on respect for international law and human rights. Peru participated actively and constructively in the negotiations of the United Nations Convention on Cybercrime, both in Vienna and New York, contributing substantially to strengthening the text of that convention, including the incorporation of virtual assets within the concept of property, as well as provisions aimed at reinforcing international cooperation, technical assistance, and capacity building, particularly in favor of developing countries. Peru's accession to the United Nations Convention on Cybercrime in October of this year reflects our commitment to building a predictable, coherent, and rules-based international order that enables the states to prevent, investigate, and punish cybercrime while guaranteeing fundamental freedoms. This commitment is part of Peru's broader trajectory as a state party to the main universal instruments in this area, including the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, and the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, the Mera Convention, which together form a comprehensive framework for tackling computer fraud, organized crime, and related offenses. Peru has decided to co-sponsor the joint declaration of the Global Partnership Against Online Scam, as it is consistent with the international commitments already made by my country, and as it reinforces an ongoing national agenda on the prevention of computer fraud, cross-border cooperation, the exchange of digital evidence, and the protection of victims. The declaration's emphasis on victim protection, particularly in cases of online scam linked to human trafficking, is fully in line with the priorities of the Peruvian state and its human rights approach to combating transnational organized crime. On this special year, in which we celebrate our 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations, Peru joins Thailand in reaffirming its willingness to actively contribute to flexible and non-binding cooperation mechanisms, such as this global alliance, which complements existing legal instruments and strengthens operational and political coordination among states without creating unnecessary institutional burdens. Peru's participation in this conference and its co-sponsorship of the joint declaration reflect a foreign policy aimed both at supporting multilateral initiatives, but also at constructively influencing the shaping of global standards in the face of the emerging challenges of the digital age. Thank you so much. Khop khun ka.
I thank the Ambassador of Peru for the statement, and on behalf of Thailand, I'd like to thank Peru for co-sponsoring the Bangkok joint statement. Next, may I now invite Ms. Jane Duke, Ambassador to Counter Modern Slavery, People Smuggling, and Human Trafficking of Australia, to deliver their statement.
Thank you, Excellencies. Australia welcomes this opportunity to reaffirm our unwavering commitment to prevent and combat the proliferation of online scam operations at home and abroad through prevention, a comprehensive criminal justice response, and supporting, protecting, and empowering survivors. Online scam operations represent one of the most pressing challenges of our time. They are no longer just a significant regional problem, they are a global threat. Against today's challenging geopolitical climate, they continue to evolve and proliferate at extraordinary speed, exploiting technology, vulnerable people, and undermining governance, rules, and resilience. Increasingly, they are hubs of polycriminality, facilitating human trafficking, drug and sex trafficking, money laundering, and cybercrime, now the world's third largest economy. Australia is committed to engaging bilaterally, regionally, and multilaterally to combat this shared challenge. Our recent joint commitment with the United States to strengthen cooperation to tackle transnational crime, including online scams, highlights the importance of partnerships. All 45 Bali Process member states and UN agencies have committed to tackling online scam operations, reflected in the 2023 Adelaide Strategy for Cooperation. Through the Bali Process Regional Support Office, we are building regional capacity and coordination to drive practical cooperation. Australia remains a steadfast supporter of ASEAN and ASEAN-led architecture, working with ASEAN to address this shared challenge, including through the ASEAN Senior Officials Meeting on Transnational Crime. Our work through the Bali Process and ASEAN complements our other efforts. Through the Australian Federal Police-led Operation Firestorm, the ASEAN-Australia Counter-Trafficking Program, the Mekong-Australia Partnership on Transnational Crime, and the Southeast Asia and Pacific Cyber Program, we are assisting to disrupt criminal syndicates, strengthen legal frameworks, build resilience, target illicit financial flows, and strengthen cyber capability. At the United Nations, Australia has been actively calling for action to address online scam operations. At the recent appraisal of the Global Plan of Action to Combat Trafficking in Persons, I co-chaired a powerful discussion on technology-enabled trafficking and forced criminality. The discussions highlighted that cross-sector collaboration is essential to including tech platforms and survivors in developing responses to end human trafficking. We look forward to today's discussions and will continue to work with partners to share information to disrupt and dismantle crime syndicates, hold them accountable, and protect victim survivors. As co-chair of the Bali Process with Indonesia, Australia is committed to realising the full potential of the Bali Process in supporting a resilient region equipped to combat the scourge of these scam operations. None of us can afford to act in isolation. We need coordinated, decisive, and sustained regional and global action to stop the spread of this model that is undermining the resilience, cohesion, and collective security that we all seek. Thank you.
I thank the Ambassador to Counter Modern Slavery, People Smuggling and Human Trafficking of Australia for the statement. Next, may I now invite Mr. Piotr Gobylski, the Digital Ambassador of Poland, to deliver their statement.
Dear Chairman, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the hosts for the organization of this meeting and for the opportunity to discuss such an important topic. Online scams are one of the fastest growing threats to citizens, financial markets, and trust in the digital economy. Poland treats this challenge as a priority for both national security and consumer protection. Poland strongly supports international cooperation in combating cybercrime. In this spirit, on October 2025, Poland signed the United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime in Hanoi, reaffirming our commitment to strengthening the global legal framework for preventing and prosecuting cyber-enabled crimes, including online scams and fraud. We firmly believe that enforcement must be supported by strong regulation at both international and regional level. That is why we strongly support and actively implement key EU regulatory achievements, in particular the Digital Operational Resilience Act, the so-called DORA. DORA significantly strengthens the resilience of financial institutions by introducing a variety of means and measures. At the national level, Poland has complemented EU rules with a specific legislation to combat abuse in electronic communications, including spoofing, smishing, and fraudulent calls. These measures enable faster blocking of malicious domains, SMS messages, and phone numbers, and strengthen cooperation between regulators, telecom operators, and financial institutions. At the operational level, our regulatory and legislative measures are supported by the Polish CSIRT KNF, the Cybersecurity Incident Response Team of the Polish Financial Supervision Authority. In conclusion, Poland's position is clear. Online scams require a comprehensive response, combining robust and strong international and regional regulatory measures, such as the UN Convention signed in Hanoi, as well as targeted national measures addressing abuses in electronic communications. Only through this multi-layered approach we can effectively protect citizens and maintain trust in the digital environment. Poland is more than willing to share its knowledge and experience in combating online scams. We stand open for close cooperation on this very important issue. Thank you very much for your attention.
I thank the Digital Ambassador of Poland for the statement. Next, may I now invite Mr. Ezzedine H. Tago, Officer in charge of the Office of the Undersecretary for Migration Affairs, Department of Foreign Affairs of the Philippines, to deliver their statement.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Minister, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Before anything, allow me to reiterate our condolences on the passing of the Queen Mother, Queen Sirikit. We convey our sincerest condolences. On behalf of the Philippines, we thank the government of Thailand and the UNODC for convening and hosting this meeting to address the pressing issue of online scams, which is persistent, prevalent, and adversely affects peace and order, sustainable development, and the rights and well-being of our peoples at national, regional, and global levels. This issue remains a top priority for the Philippine government, with numerous Filipinos who have become human trafficking victims, not only in the Philippines, but also in countries throughout the region. In June 2023, here in Bangkok, with the UNODC supporting UN member states in implementing the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, and the Philippines as the voluntary lead shepherd on trafficking in persons in ASEAN, we initiated a high-level regional dialogue to address transnational organized crime and human trafficking linked to casinos and scams. Nearly 3 years later, we continue to address the multifaceted and transnational nature of human trafficking and organized online scams through our collaborative efforts. We emphasize the importance of preventing trafficking in persons and ensuring the safety and protection of human trafficking victims. Since 2021, when the first Filipino victims of human trafficking sought help from our diplomatic missions in the region, the Philippine government has assisted and repatriated nearly or exactly 1,956 distressed Filipinos forced into criminality by online scam operations in mainland Southeast Asia. Currently, we still have about 200 of our nationals who still need help returning safely to the country as illegally recruited victims in the scam hubs. We thank our neighboring countries, and including Thailand and international partners, for their vital support in ensuring the safety and facilitating the release of victims and coordinating the safe passage across borders for repatriation. Our cooperation highlights the importance of finding solutions to the problem and seek ways to prevent more of our citizens from falling victim to these unscrupulous schemes. The Philippines has taken a strong stand against online scamming operations. On 23 October 2025, the President of the Philippines, Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., signed into law Republic Act 12312, the Anti-Offshoring Gaming Operators Act of 2025. This saw the nationwide shutting down of all offshore gaming operations in the Philippines, noting that these became entryways and a means for criminals to conduct their unlawful activities out of sight and under the guise of legitimate operations. Our action is a clear affirmation of the Philippine government's recognition of its duty in the maintenance of peace and order, the protection of life, liberty, and property, and the promotion of the general welfare are paramount for the meaningful enjoyment of democracy, the value of dignity of every human person, and that guarantees full respect for human rights. The new law prohibits any person or entity from recruiting, hiring, providing, transporting, transferring, maintaining, harboring, or receiving any Filipino or foreign national for employment, training, or apprenticeship in offshore gaming operations in the Philippines. And violators of the anti-POGO law face 6 to 12 years in prison and fines up to 50 million pesos, or approximately $850,000. Public officials involved received sentences, while foreign victims were assisted and processed in coordination with their respective residence missions in the Philippines. The Philippines has also joined the fight against online scams on the cybersecurity front. On the day President Marcos signed the Anti-Offshore Gaming Operators Act, the country also became one of the first to sign the UN Convention Against Cybercrime on 23 October in Hanoi, Vietnam. We welcome this major step and look forward to its entry into force. By working together to manage risks, we can maximize the benefits of technological development. With the Philippines as 2026 ASEAN chair, we will maintain our commitment to addressing this issue through regional discussions and engagement with global partners. As we navigate our future together, we underscore the necessity of international cooperation at all levels to address the complex challenges posed by online scams and organized crime worldwide. Thank you, Excellencies, distinguished delegates and colleagues, and thank you again to our gracious hosts.
I thank the officer in charge of the Office of the Undersecretary of Migration Affairs of the Department of Foreign Affairs from the Philippines for the statement. Next, may I now invite Mr. Asim Hafiz, Director of International Strategy, Engagement and Devolution of the Home Office of the United Kingdom, to deliver their statement.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can I begin by a very big thank you to His Excellency, the Minister for Digital and Economy, as well as the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Regional Director for UNODC for hosting us here today on what I think you will all agree is an incredibly important and auspicious occasion to try to deal with this scourge of online scamming. If I might begin with a human story about why this is so important. We'll talk a lot throughout the day about international collaboration, about the need to tackle these global gangs and online fraudsters who try to do us harm. But that word harm is where I'd like to focus for a moment. If you'll permit me, Delphine, I get told the story to her yesterday, which I'd like to share with all of you in this room, because it really brings home why this matters so very much. I was on a trip recently to Nigeria, and I had the pleasure of visiting an organization which we as the United Kingdom government were co-funding with the Nigerian government to try to help young people who've been drawn into online scamming become cybersecurity experts to try to do something more positive. On that trip, I met a young man, 16 years old. His name was Ibrahim. He told me that he was a romance scammer and that he'd never put any faces or names to the people he scammed. It was just about getting the money. He managed to scam about £8,000 equivalent or euros from a European elderly lady who, having lost her life savings to this young man, then proceeded to kill herself. He found out because her relatives still stayed in contact with the person she thought she was going to marry. He turned around to me and with tears in his eyes, he said, "I've got to live with that for the rest of my life." That really brings home the human tragedy that we're all talking about over these next couple of days. But it also brings home how these gangs prey on the vulnerable, how the people who are actually doing this sometimes themselves are victims. Which is why, when you look around this room, you see a genuinely international approach to why we need to collaborate on this subject. And not just international in terms of how global we need to be in our approach, but whole system approaches. We can't arrest our way out of this problem. We can only truly tackle this by looking at every facet, from law enforcement to legislation, to community projects, to prevention. But all of this has to be done with all of the people in this room collaboratively. This is why, from the UK's perspective, we are supporting very much so the UNODC Interpol Global Fraud Summit that is going to take place in March next year in Vienna. Some of you will know that last March, we were the first to hold a global fraud summit in March 2024. And this is why it needs to be a whole system approach. We want to bring together ministers so there's a political will across all of our countries to try to do something. Senior officials, law enforcement, third sector, private sector, finance sector, so that we actually take this systemic approach to dealing with these problems. There's enormous value in bringing people together. Throughout today and in the plenary sessions and also in our conversations, we'll build partnerships, we'll look at good practice, we'll think about the things we need to do. And under Thailand's leadership with UNODC, hopefully over these next couple of days, we'll come up with solutions. But as quickly as we come up with solutions, so too will the criminals. So we need to make sure that this is not just a one-stop conference. We'll enjoy each other's company, have hopefully some great Thai food this evening. But we keep this going. It needs to be sustainable. We are all here to make sure that it gets sustained, that we have that truly global approach, that we're able to continue to work closely together. And from a UK perspective, we work very closely with Interpol, and that's why we are now commissioning the next global fraud threat assessment, as well as coordinating anti-scam efforts alongside ASEAN and dialogue partners. So I really hope that today's dialogue discussions draw much greater attention to the need to protect our citizens from fraud and the organised crime networks that exploit them. So that young people like Ibrahim don't have to carry with them the guilt of what they've done, and that the ladies and the gentlemen and the institutions in all of our countries who fall victim to these no longer have to be victims. In the UK, it's very sad to say that 44% of all crimes reported are now online frauds, and that 2/3 of these online frauds in the UK emanate from overseas. So I hope the next couple of days will be fruitful, that we'll come up with collaborations, that we'll come up with solutions, and I look forward to the dialogue and I look forward to the discussions that we'll have over the next couple of days. Thank you very much.
I thank the Director of International Strategy, Engagement and Devolution of the Home Office of the United Kingdom, not only for this statement, but also for all the dedication, and Thailand really looks forward to collaborating more with you for a sustainable change regarding this matter. Next, may I now invite Ms. Lo Yu Ying, Director of the Policy, Development and Security Division of the Ministry of Home Affairs of Singapore, to deliver that statement.
Your Excellency, Minister for Digital Economy and Society of Thailand, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Singapore would like to thank Thailand for hosting this conference. Scams are a global concern. In Singapore, scam losses reached a new high last year, amounting to over 1.1 billion Singapore dollars. More than half of all reported crimes in Singapore are scams. Tackling scams is therefore an urgent priority for Singapore nationally. Our anti-scam strategy is centered on 3 core tenets, abbreviated by A, B, and C. First, A for agile. Scam syndicates are run like enterprises with sophisticated business operations. They can scale and change tactics quickly. We, as scam defenders, must therefore match their agility, and in Singapore, the Anti-Scam Command is the nerve center for anti-scam operations. Bank staff and police work side by side to trace funds and freeze scam-tainted accounts. This cuts response time from days to hours. Second, B for backed by law. We regularly update our laws in Singapore to allow us to take decisive action against scams. For example, we introduce offenses to punish people abusing bank accounts, SIM cards, and our National Digital Identity SingPass for scams. Our Online Criminal Harms Act allows us to direct online platforms to disrupt scam content and implement anti-scam safeguards. Third, C for collaboration. Like many countries here today, we work closely with the private sector and community partners to co-create anti-scam solutions, share data to take down scam assets, and raise public vigilance against scams. Given the borderless nature of scams, we need much more effective international cooperation. And on this note, Singapore suggests 3 areas of focus. First, to enhance transnational enforcement and asset recovery. We encourage countries to join Frontier Plus network, which has brought together anti-scam units of 13 jurisdictions to disrupt scam operations and facilitate cross-border asset recovery. Second, to engage the industry, and this includes banks, telcos, and online platforms, in a concerted manner to adopt stronger anti-scam safeguards. They must bear responsibility if they allow crimes to be facilitated through their platforms. Preventive measures such as stronger user verification, transaction friction for high-risk activities, and real-time anomaly detection can stop scams at scale. Third, to share and act on information proactively, such as ongoing scam trends, emerging threats, and best practices. We look forward to the discussions at this conference on our counter-scam experiences and priorities. Thank you very much.
I thank the Director of the Policy Development Division of the Ministry of Home Affairs of Singapore for their statement. Next, may I now invite the Chargée d'Affaires of the Embassy of Kenya, Ms. Nancy Deborah Wanjiru Mwangi, to deliver their statement.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, first I want to start by giving the apologies of my Minister for Interior, the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Onesmus Murkomen, Minister of Interior. He was supposed to be coming, but he canceled the trip due to unforeseen reasons in the last minute, and therefore I'll be reading this statement on his behalf. Second, before I start the statement, I also want to pay our condolences as a country to the people of the Kingdom of Thailand for the loss of the Queen Mother. We are in solidarity with you and our sincere condolences. So, Excellencies, distinguished guests, I'm very delighted and appreciate the opportunity to address this conference today. Allow me on the onset to commend and appreciate the government of the Kingdom of Thailand and the Office of the UNODC for organizing this important conference on global partnership against online crimes. This conference is very timely, as no single country can address this problem alone, hence the need for collaborative efforts. Today, human trafficking and online scams are one of the largest criminal enterprises, generating over $1 billion annually, while leaving behind untold human suffering, torture, and loss of income through scam activities, as well as diversion of massive resources meant for other development programs to address the menace. Despite its scale, human trafficking and online scams remain a largely underground concealed crime, and this is deliberately designed to evade eviction. What we are witnessing in Southeast Asia is a rapidly expanding model of exploitation where victims are not only abused, but also forced to commit international crimes, which include cyber fraud, illegal cryptocurrency trading, money laundering, and sexual exploitation, among others. Recent developments since February 2025 indicate a disturbing and well-coordinated system that has trapped hundreds of foreign nationals, including Kenyans. Criminal networks operating primarily in the cyber fraud centers actively recruit victims through online platforms, advertising seemingly legitimate job opportunities purported to be based in the region. Once inside the scamming compounds, victims experience systematic physical and psychological abuse, including beatings, electric shocks, sexual violence, and threats of death. Women and girls are particularly very vulnerable. Since July 2022, the government of Kenya, through the embassy in Bangkok, has facilitated the rescue and repatriation of over 600 Kenyan nationals. Tragically, lives have also been lost, including a Kenyan 21-year-old girl who died of a botched surgery in December 2022, while many more are trapped inside. As a country, we are currently having over 165 Kenyan nationals who are awaiting repatriation following the recent raids on the scam centers. Additionally, we have many others who have sent distress calls, and over 400 who are believed to be inside the scam centers. The government of Kenya appreciates the role played by the Kingdom of Thailand and other international partners to be able to rescue and repatriate the Kenyans who have been so far been repatriated. We also want to appreciate the role you are playing. As we wait to repatriate the others, we have been working closely with the Kingdom of Thailand and other international partners, and we look forward to continued support and engagement. Trafficking networks continue to evolve, exploiting new routes through neighboring countries and other transit points, including kidnappings in the countries neighboring the Southeast Asia. On an alarming incident, we had 2 Kenyans who had traveled to the region to buy medical equipment, and they were abducted by armed individuals in possession of handguns, knife, and electric tasers, posing as tax service. They confiscated their passports, phones, and stole all the money they had, and one of them lost about 5,000 USD, which was meant for buying medical equipment. They were then trafficked across illegal border points and to an identified hotel. One managed to escape, while the other one did not and was taken to the scam compounds. Excellencies, distinguished guests, since these cases started in 2022, the government of Kenya has taken important steps, including establishing an anti-human trafficking interagency committee, conducting awareness campaigns, prosecuting recruitment agents, and strengthening diplomatic engagements with relevant government agencies. The government has also enacted a number of relevant laws that deal with cyber crimes, online scams, and money laundering. Following these efforts, a number of agents have been prosecuted and imprisoned. And the recent case is in April 2025, where the Employment and Labor Relations Court found one agent liable for trafficking and working without a license, and was ordered to pay the victim he had trafficked US $50,000. However, there have been many challenges ranging from limited resources to weak and lengthy prosecution processes, unwillingness to sue and testify by the victims, lack of adequate shelters for the victims, and of course, corruption. In view of these, the government of Kenya recommends the following mitigation measures. 1, enhance collaboration through stronger bilateral and regional cooperation in areas of joint security and investigation working groups and information sharing. Number 2, enhance cooperation between the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution and the offices of the Attorney Generals through mutual legal assistance treaties. And then establishing such network would provide the countries who are affected with a structured and reliable mechanism for sharing evidence, locating individuals and perpetrators, and gathering information pertinent to criminal investigations. Number 3, harmonize visa controls and financial system surveillance at national, regional, and international levels. Then number 4, establishment of legal frameworks of cooperation between the Office of the Criminal Investigations and the Office of the Director of Special Investigations. Such will assist in sharing information and conducting investigations, among many others. Then number 5, comprehensive reintegration programs for returnees in the home countries. This is to deter establishment of satellite online scam centers where they go back, and also to deter repeat cases. The number 6, the government should urge the formation of joint security working groups, meetings comprising of respective police units responsible for anti-trafficking, immigration, prosecutors, and the embassy teams from the embassies affected every quarter on Zoom or at least twice a year physically to review the trends and review trafficking trafficking cases. Excellencies, distinguished guests, as I conclude, I wish to reiterate that human trafficking for forced criminality is not only a humanitarian crisis, but also a national and global security threat that requires sustained political will, coordinated action, and collective responsibility. I thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you.
I thank the Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of Kenya for the statement. Next, may I now invite Mr. Nishioka Tatsuki, the Deputy Chief of Mission and Minister of the Embassy of Japan, to deliver their statement.
Thank you. On behalf of the government of Japan, I would like to thank the government of Thailand and also UNODC to hold this timely international conference. Given that scam centers are now spreading from Southeast Asia to various countries around the world, organized fraud poses significant security and economic threat to us, both globally and regionally. Its methods are rapidly evolving, and the misuse of emerging technologies, including AI, amplifies the negative impact of organized fraud. Furthermore, these criminal groups are now recruiting individuals using tactics similar to trafficking in person. Japan emphasizes that no single nation has the capacity to address these cross-border threats effectively and promptly, which underscore the need for further international cooperation. Taking this opportunity, I would like to touch upon Japan's effort on organized fraud. First of all, it is vital for each state to strengthen countermeasures against organized fraud. We believe public-private partnerships as well as inter-ministerial cooperation are also necessary to combat the organized fraud. So Japan is strengthening cooperation with private companies, such as telecommunications companies and financial institutions and so on. Regarding the public-private partnerships, we have a good practice to share. Earlier this year, a tech support scam based in India was successfully taken down through intelligence gained from public-private sector collaboration. In this case, analysis results provided by the Japan Cybercrime Control Center and Microsoft served as the initial lead. Based on information subsequently gathered by Japanese police, Indian authorities successfully dismantled the scam center in May 2025 and arrested six suspects. In June this year, Japan formulated comprehensive domestic countermeasures to curb fraud and other crimes, as well as to promote the sound development of our society based on trust and ensure a safe and secure society. Secondly, international cooperation is an essential part to combat organized fraud. In May, Japan hosted a working-level meeting on transnational organized fraud in Thailand to strengthen our relationship with our counterparts. Japan is proactively contributing to discussion regarding responses to transnational organized crimes at international conferences, such as the G7 and Japan-ASEAN-related meetings. The Asian International Conference on Combating Fraud, hosted by the National Police Agency in Tokyo last week, is another good example of our effort. Furthermore, Japan is enhancing cooperation with various countries in coordination with international organizations, including UNODC and Interpol. For example, we conducted various programs offering, number one, capacity building support to law enforcement and investigative organizations in other countries. Secondly, know how to prevent the manipulation of emerging technologies such as AI. And number three, promoting women's roles in the criminal justice sector to combat cybercrime, including organized fraud. And next year, we are planning to collaborate with the UNODC and ASEAN Pole to provide further support for combating online scams in Southeast Asian countries. Japan is confident that this meeting will enable the international community to respond to organized fraud more effectively. In this regard, I would like to reiterate our appreciation for the government of Thailand and UNODC for hosting this meeting. Let me conclude my speech by reaffirming Japan's commitment to combating organized fraud in close cooperation with government, international organizations, the private sector, and civil society gathering here today. Thank you very much for your attention.
I thank the Deputy Chief of Missions and Minister of the Embassy of Japan for the statement. Distinguished delegates, on behalf of the Royal Thai government, I would like to express my deep appreciation for all the kind words of condolences conveyed in the statement of the delegations for the passing of Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother of Thailand. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. We have now come to the end of the high-level statement. I thank all delegations for your thoughtful statements, valuable insights, and for sharing national and regional experiences in the fight against online scams. Your interventions have helped set a clear tone and direction for the thematic discussions that will follow this afternoon. I also thank participants from the private sector, civil society organizations for their attendance. I particularly like to thank countries and companies that have already expressed their wish to co-sponsor the Bangkok joint statements, namely Bangladesh, Peru, the United Arab Emirates, and from the private sector, TikTok. And I look forward to the many more collaborations to come. I'd now like to hand the floor back to the Master of Ceremonies, who will be providing further details regarding the lunch arrangements. Thank you very much. Khop khun krap.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Minister of Digital Economy and Society of Thailand. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the time is now 1 p.m. For high-level representatives, your liaison officer will escort you to the restaurant. And for other distinguished delegates, lunch will be served at the Espresso restaurant on the mezzanine floor of this building, and also at the Beer Republic restaurant on the ground floor of the Holiday Inn Hotel, which you can access via the connecting hallway on the ground floor. And you are also invited to collect the coupon for the lunch for both restaurants at the registration table in front of the ballroom. And additionally, for the Beer Republic restaurant, you may also use your registration badge to access the restaurant. And lastly, may I also take this opportunity to inform you that the thematic discussions will take place in Ballroom 2, which is just next door. And it will commence at 2 p.m., where the format of the thematic sessions will be free seating. Thank you very much, and please enjoy your lunch.